back. So if I veer off or it seems like I'm just going in a certain way, it's not intentional. I'm really going through self-therapy in real time with you right now. Like, I didn't even know to call it off as far as my part being involved with this, because I wasn't even sure if my mind would be in a place to be able to, engage with you in a productive way. But, fear is for the fearful. I'm a man of courage and I do have faith. So I said, I'm gonna come anyway. And whatever barriers happen, you know, I'm gonna do it in real time. And so far, it's been working out good. I just wanted to put that out there so you can understand like where my energy at and trying to articulate with you. Um, I ain't even in pain right now. Isn't that amazing? Like, I've been hurting the whole time. That's why I got up and walked out. Like, my body, my mind. But once I started talking, it's like that's my safe place. It's almost like that's where God had ordained me to have a covering, is in doing what, naturally He's given me the gift to be able to do, and that's to speak, to touch people. So I appreciate you, just giving me the opportunity to talk with you.
Well, I'm glad that you're here, and
Thank
I'm glad
you.
you're okay.
Yeah.
And also, like, you could take it slow.
Yeah.
Like, just let me know.
Oh, no, we good, man. Like, this is my medicine. I didn't know, but it just like a email download in real time. I just realized this is a part of my therapy. This is part of my healing or whatever. And I appreciate it. I'm game, man. So, when you asked me earlier about growing up in Atlanta, one thing I just want to put like a period at the end of that sentence, right? One thing people have to understand about Atlanta, you got two Atlantas. Well, really, you got three. So you got the original Atlanta that was burnt by Sherman marching from Tennessee, right? So my city suffered from paranormal activity, right? We talk about Gettysburg and these places where all these soldiers died and these things, but we forget about Atlanta got burnt down. Underground Atlanta, they still got the real cobblestones that they built over. Now they're trying to turn it into a casino or something. But there's a story there. There's a story in these train tracks, because Atlanta was a mecca for like commerce. That's why they came through here, because that's how the Confederate was moving things for their soldiers through the railroad. Even now we call it 5 points, like on MARTA, but people don't even know why they call it 5 points. They called it 5 points because from Atlanta they was able to ship things to their 5 central hubs to support the Confederacy coming from Virginia. So that got burnt down as he marched to, I think, Savannah. Then you got what came out of that, what I was talking about in the 80s, the crack era, the freak meats and all of these type of things. But then you had another Atlanta that emerged after the Olympics in 1996, which put the city on a global scale. Now you got people coming from all over the world. Now it's became the Motown of the South. Now Hollywood coming here. Now you got movies and all these things. So being born here as a Grady baby, as a native here, and no, I didn't see the burning of the city, but I did grow up in the era after that, and now I see how things have changed with so many different people coming here to the city, and it almost feels like I ain't even from here sometimes. But then sometimes it feel like I am from here. Sometimes it feel like I'm a tourist in my own city. And I know that sounds crazy, but what I mean is, unless we define what it means to be from Atlanta, it'll always be a ever evolving definition. Atlanta will always be dominated by whoever is in the city with the strongest movement or whatever. Like now you see we got a big soccer culture, and I think they having the World Cup here and something. If we're not careful, the city could take on a whole different complexion. You know what I'm saying? If the movies really take place in Atlanta, Atlanta could become not even known for music no more. It could just become known for where people come to do their movies. What I'm saying is, the people that's born here from my era, we feel like we're climbing out of dirt being poured on us, and not dirt from a nasty point of view, but the city is still reeling from being like destroyed from back in when I told you. So there's a spirit in the city of innovation, of culture, creators come here because we're trying to rebuild something that was lost. And that's where the music come in. That's where the church come in. And that's where all these things converge at. This is what Dr. King was talking about too. Unless we able to work together with each other, with the people that's coming here. I don't know where you from. I heard you speaking a different language. I didn't even know you could speak Spanish. So I don't know you from, like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I know Bijou, Nigeria, he's came here. I don't know what Panther from. I think you from here, right? You from the city? Huh? Bankhead, you know what I'm saying? So unless we able to come together and link the chain, you know what I'm saying? It's like we're building a patchwork quilt. And I feel like I'm somewhat of a historian in a sense. That's how I look at myself. I look at myself as a historian. Like I'm documenting through my words, through my raps, the pain, the suffering, the joy, the triumphs. Like I literally have surrendered myself to be somewhat of an avatar for those that have came before, for those that's here now, and for whatever future message is being communicated from tomorrow that's looking for a carrier. A dream is always looking for a carrier. A vision is always looking for somebody to grab hold onto it. And I feel like I'm like 5 points. I'm that train station in a sense. I want to be the connecting point from what was to what can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not from Atlanta, I do feel very passionate about like how the city's changing because I think my first time in Atlanta was 2018 and I've seen it change so much just since then. So I can't imagine being born here and like how much you've had to watch it change. And yeah.
It's powerful. Can I add to what you just said real quick? So I know I'm probably not gonna get a lot of popularity votes for what I'm about to say, but it have to be said. So, we talk about gentrification a lot, right? In the city, how the city changes, and even with the belt line and all these type of things. But there's also another element that never gets spoken of. I read something one time. I went to Atlanta Metropolitan College, like for journalism. So that's actually where I met Zeta Farmer. Me and Zeta Farmer was actually co-editors for the newspaper in college. And we reunited years later at Soul Food Cypher. I had not seen him since the college days, but I read some when I was in college, and it was like, rich people hardly have any time in the world, but they still make time to make sure their lawn is cut or their grass is cut, to make sure their neighborhoods look a certain type of way. Because what you see communicate to your mind what you're willing to accept. But people that you would say that's in a poverty place that don't have a lot, that have a lot of time on their hand because they just out there trying to make a play or make a sale. They got, they don't have a set schedule. They just kind of like willy-nilly freestyling through life. People with all the time in the world, but don't have enough time to get the graffiti off the building, to pick up the bottles in the yard, to beautify. So what, we was given a ghetto, but it ain't got to stay like that. When my grandmother knew, we grew up in the SWAT. But during my era coming up, man, these matriarchs and patriarchs, man, these folks will cut your head off. Not literally. I'm just using that as a frame of reference. Man, they will curse you out if you litter. And we was in the ghetto. We was in the hood. They would really chew you up if you didn't put some type of pride in your home. So what? It's a project building. It's still yours. So what? It's a bluff or a neighborhood or a Bankhead or a SWAT or East Point or Four Seasons. It's yours. Maybe if we took the time out to not be so at each other's throat and to clean up what we have, maybe we could not have experienced as much gentrification. So a part of me not even mad that other people come in and commercialize and make it look better. Because what was we doing with it? And a lot of people would cop out and say, well, we couldn't do anything. Yes, we could. The same energy it takes to make a crack sale is the same energy it takes to fill out an application. The same energy it takes to load up a bullet in a gun and point is the same energy it takes for you to sharpen a pencil. The same energy it takes for you to say yes, it's the same energy it takes for you to say no. So it boils down to, we just didn't want to do it. It's easier to make an excuse. It's easier because we are the people that suffered, right? We the people that went through Jim Crow. We the people that, 40 acres and a mule and all of this. So it's easy for us to nestle under the blanket of what we feel like we should receive and use that as a cop out to not actually get out there and do the work. And then when somebody else come along with an idea, now we looking like, man, they taking it from us, but we didn't want it. Because if we wanted it, you'd be willing to live and die for what you want. And we see it in the story of immigrants that come here with nothing. We see it in the story, y'all please listen. What I'm saying is we're going to end up losing Atlanta if we're not careful with how we handle Atlanta. We have a precious jewel in our hand. And if we're not careful, we're going to end up losing it. Not losing it as it being burnt down again, but losing it in the sense of how do you identify? The city is only as good as the people living in the city. So I want to make it my business that if what I'm saying come to pass, at least they'll be able to go through the archives, right? That's the name of the show. And they'll say, hey, what is he talking about? Let me go research that. And then maybe that'll spark a generation that don't want to keep passing the baton down to somebody else to make a difference. And I know you're probably thinking like, well, what that got to do with rap? Everything. Because guess what? Rap is where we translate the blueprint. How you think these Migos and these people know about slanging that iron and running up that pack? Because somebody else recorded a song prior to them that said, I'm in a trap. So they listen to that. So now the instructions have been passed on through the microphone. Now they hear it. Now they're going to record it. Now it's another kid that's coming up in middle school going to hear that same music. And they're going to want to record it. And before you know it, a whole generation has been passing instructions down through music. Do this. Get that. Whip that. Do that. I want to be part of the collective that say, okay, I see why we do that, but this is what we need to do. I want to be part of the collective that put the instruction in the music too, or in the spoken word, and especially freestyle, because when you do it in freestyle, it's magical. Anybody could go in the studio and get high and drunk and turn the club on. But if I can do it in person in real time, it snatches you out of what you thought was possible, and it creates a certain magic to it. It becomes spiritual. A lot of times with the SFC Next, you know what we call our meetings? We always say this feel like church. And when they get up here, you can ask any one of them. I'm not making it up. But why you think in our closed SFC Next meetings where we just talking and brainstorming and looking deep within ourselves, why you think somebody would say this feel like church?
Y'all in there conjuring that energy up.
Without nobody bringing up no scripture, ain't no Bible, ain't no tithe offering being passed, none of that. But still, it made us say, hey, this feel like a church, feel like a community. And we don't even really know what we're saying. I do because I've done the research. So if you go back and this for anybody watching, you they really need to know this. They had something called the Invisible Church. You ever heard of that before? All right, cool. So if I ever start a church, I might call it the Invisible Church, right? I think that's dope. So the Invisible Church was after the slave master went to sleep, the slaves would get together, wet rags to muffle the sound, hold on to each other's shirts, and walk 5 to 10 miles into the marsh, into the thicket, to the ravines, the gullies, away from the slave master. And they would form a circle on their knees, just like a cipher. They literally would, and you can look it up. They formed a circle, and they had one person in the middle as a speaker. And they had a container full of water that he would speak into the container full of water to muffle the sound, but also to create a sort of acoustics in the dark. Can you imagine that? You already know the penalty of death if they wake up and find out that you're not in your slave quarters. You already know the penalty of death if they see you practicing anything other than how it was prescribed by master. You already know the penalty of death if they see you singing songs of joy. So they had to be real quiet in that circle, speaking into that water to give themselves hope, comfort, to go over what they receive and compare it to what the truth is. And that's what church represents. Church represent that same metaphor of speaking into that water, which symbolize movement. Water is a conductor, electricity. This, all these things. That's what it symbolized when it comes to the spoken word. And I see myself as that person in that circle. I'm drawn to that, even though I wasn't there. When I close my eyes, I could see myself leading them people away from the terrors of the night and giving them reason to have enough faith, not in me, because I don't have any power. I'm just a channel. You know how courageous a person would have to be to get people that are already oppressed and fearful of their life to get down on their knees, bugs biting them, stuff in the trees. They probably don't even speak the same language because they're from different tribes out there in the middle. Somebody got to make sure they know how to get back to where they were and have one spokesperson willing to speak into the water. You know, in the Bible, waters represent people. I see myself as that person that's willing to trek out into the unknown, to stand in the circle, the cipher, and speak into the water, even if it cost me my life. Dr. King did it. He was a martyr. And I feel the same way in a sense. It may not be like a physical death. I'm definitely not advocating that because I just had a near-death experience. And trust me, it ain't nothing to play with. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want you to be like, oh my God, no, we have to die to old concepts. We're dying to what we thought was fashionable, dying to, we talking about in SFC, changing the rap on rap. We have to die to being comfortable calling the woman the B word. We have to die to the image of a woman is only good for a man's sexual pleasure. And if she don't have a BBL, she's not worthy of his time. We have to die to that. We have to die to the concept of moving packs and big niches of the world, and not him personally, but I'm saying that whole ideology. We have to die to that concept, or we're going to keep creating people who think that it's okay. And the only way I can be looked at as a black man is if I do fed time. We got to die to that. We have to die to having multiple kids without ever wifing her. We have to die to creating baby mothers instead of wives. We have to die to joining gangs just to feel a sense of brotherhood. Certain things have to die in order for the new life to spring forth. And everybody's not willing to occupy that space because it's an unpopular space. It's an unpopular space because you literally going against the grain. You're swimming upriver and everybody know water flows down. But it's exciting for me because, yeah, it's exciting for me because I could have been born anywhere. But he chose to put me in Atlanta, and he chose to let them folks take me on a field trip in this man's house and experience the essence to walk on the same floors. I wish I would have took my shoes off so I could feel the wood, but it changed my life. She looking at me. I wish y'all could see this. She looking at me like, I don't know who I'm talking to right now. No.
I think that the way that you reference history and when you talked about like being the person that's speaking into the water and the messages that you have to like share with everyone, I can kind of see like how all of that informs the way that you freestyle.
Yeah.
And like with the way that you kind of take, how do I say it? There's so much like spiritual energy in the way that you freestyle. And it's like because it comes from all of this like information, all of this connection with your history, with your people, your elders, your ancestors. Everyone is like all involved in your religion.
Yes.
And so with all of that like being what influences you, where do you kind of like find yourself in like the midst of all of this, of your creative process?
You said, where do I find myself in the midst of it?
Yeah, it's like when you're freestyling or when you're like going towards your mission, you're having all of these things on you. So like, what about when it comes to like yourself and your creative?
Yeah, so there is no self. I thought it was. Like right now, like, and like my cohorts, they could tell you. I used to tell them, they say, hey, when you freestyling, what happens? And I used to tell them, I don't know, I blank out. Right? I used to say that, like, I just leave. But then up on the close, maybe the accident, maybe like it like reset me where I can look at things. It's almost, are you familiar with the term ego death? So this is a term that's commonly used from people that take psychedelics, that they take a strong enough dose to where their ego actually dies, and like people with PTSD and soldiers, to where they can actually reprogram their personality in a sense. It feels almost something like that, to the extent that I used to think when I freestyle, I just black out, then I come back to myself and I ask everybody else, what happened? And they were like, man, it was so crazy. We got it on footage. But now, since I've been reset, I look back at it now and I see I was never supposed to black out. I was never supposed to phase out, then come back. Because if I phase out and come back, then I only live the experience through the people that's watching me. I'm supposed to have enough courage to allow whatever wanted to be spoken, download the universal cuneiform, and stand in the fire with it and be able to see it while it's happening. To not be on the roller coaster and close my eyes when we getting ready to go down the hill. That's an analogy. To like be there, I wanted to feel it. So now I understand in retrospect why this freestyling is happening. It's like a divine partnership. It's like the Bible say that gifts and calling are without repentance. So everybody has a gift. Everybody has something that's been planted, a seed. But I can maximize that if I'm willing to go through a process. Am I going to educate myself? Am I going to learn vocabulary? Am I going to learn syntax? Am I going to learn structure? Am I going to learn similes and homophones and metaphors and analogies? Am I going to go through all of this? Because if I'm willing to put myself through the technical aspect, when the magic happens, the spirit is able to utilize me more because there's more in me to use. Like if we was cooking or you was doing the show and you say, hey, we getting ready to cook on the archive show. And I say, cool. And you open up your cabinet, you ain't got no ingredient. You ain't got nothing but salt and pepper. I'm not saying you can't make it good, but what if you open your cabinet, you got salt, pepper, oregano, you got some curry, you got like all type of Himalayan pink salt, you got all type of stuff in here. So now this dish that you're going to be able to prepare, you're going to be able to maximize and unlock the flavor in the food just based on what you have at your disposal. That was my part. That's what I did. I made sure that I kept my sword sharp, my mind ready, my quick muscles ready, made sure that I was like making sure my mind was in the right place and my vocabulary was where it needed to be. And I'm in the gym and I'm running, making sure I got stamina. Because when I freestyle, I don't want to freestyle slow. I can, but I prefer to live on the cutting edge. I want to freestyle fast. As fast as I can say it, I want to freestyle like that. Because it's easy to somebody to believe you freestyling if you just rapping slow. And there's nothing wrong with rapping slow, because I rap slow too. But if I'm able to freestyle at such a high pace speed and still be viable within that, it's going to make you a believer faster. If I rap faster, I can make believers out of people faster. Because they're going to say, hell, whoa, what happened? Because you're witnessing something supernatural. Your mind has to catch up to it. Your ears, your ear gate and your eye gate, they're in agreement to what you're seeing and hearing, but your mind has to process, is this even possible? And not saying I'm always going to hit the mark 100%, but even if I hit 85, that's still great. So I find myself in the middle. For an analogy, it's like if you had a tornado, I would be in the eye of the storm. You know how they say the eye of the storm is the calmest of the tornado? When I'm freestyling, it's like a tornado is around me. And the wind is just picking up what he got on. The colors of the lights. It's picking up your smile. It's picking up the flickering of the candle. It's picking up this. It's picking up these shoes, that bottled water. And at any moment, because the wind around me, a tornado, the winds, it suck everything in. But I'm in the middle, so I'm really in a calm place, surrounded by all of this. And I'm able to pick what I want at my leisure. I'm able to pick it out. Look at his pants. He got this on. And she was smiling at me when I came in. And I'm seeing it in real time. It's like I'm picking it. And it's like the universe winking at me. It's like God giving me a nod. And when I'm doing that, I can hear my grandmother at the kitchen table going through her dream book telling me I'm special. I can hear my advisors and my counselors going through school telling me I'm special. My language art teacher going over my papers and saying, hey, you have a gift. When I'm freestyling, I can hear all of that. So it just fuels me to just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. That's how I end up eventually winning. I had been trying to win for like a year and a half. But Soul Food Cypher is such an amazing place that I'm not the only person with a strong gift. I'm surrounded by brothers and sisters that's operating at a very high level. So when I finally got to a point where I was able to be recognized, I think that was our first interview too. Yep. So it was like the trophy. I don't know what it means to nobody else, but for me, the trophy encapsulates everything that I had been telling you from growing up in Atlanta, the streets, and my decision to go this way, and my decision in the house, and all of that. That trophy symbolized to me that I made the right choice. When I look at that and say wordplay champion, that tells me I made the right decision. That's a historical marker. So we talking about Black history. That trophy is a historical Black history marker for me that I can pass down to say, hey, I did this at one point, and I was able to do this because I made a choice 20 years ago. And this is the culmination. Not saying I'm not going to go on to do more things, but that night, that trophy crystallized it's like a mental photograph of sorts that lets me know that I got off at the right exit at the right time instead of going on a detour or my life being a dead end, because it could have been a dead end. And I'm grateful. Like, rap saved my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say that like being in Soul Food Cypher NEXT specifically and having that community has also kind of been one of the things that made you realize like that you made the right choice?
Absolutely. Yeah, because it's amazing, right? So I spent my whole life trying to escape the trap, trying to escape violence. Not the violence that's just out there, but the violence in here too. You know how they say Black men angry, toxic masculinity, all these type of things, because the world don't understand. There's something called epigenetics. So epigenetics is what the ultrasound didn't pick up when the doctor was telling you what the gender of the baby was going to be. Oh, it's a little boy, it's a girl. Okay, fine. But it's something else that got transcribed through the placenta too. That's called epigenetics. If any one of those parents had any fear, any trauma, any unresolved psychological issues, some of that seeps through the placenta. So they used to have a saying talking about crack babies and test tube babies. I don't know if y'all remember, they used to say stuff like that. Not saying even the mother or the father were doing drugs don't mean that the baby gonna come out wanting a crack pipe instead of a bottle. But it does mean that somewhere within the mixing of the egg and the seed, something else crept in there too. A tendency, a proclivity to have certain predispositions and not even understand why. But they call it ADHD or attention and all of this, not understanding. There's something else going on within the chromosome, right? So that epigenetic thing is what I speak to. I speak to that because I understand that it's not that we grow up angry. It's not that we grow up want to fight or feel like we got to bust a gun, but there's a lot of unresolved trauma and issues that have been passed down from the plantation of families being separated in fear. There's a lot of unresolved anger issues that got transposed from Africa to Atlanta or to the West Indies. Every place the ship stopped. Every time a family got broken up and they didn't see them no more, and just you had to live with that. And growing up and sharecroppers and Reconstruction, and them passing one civil right bill and that one good enough, so they got to pass another civil right bill, and the Jim Crow and all these things, and we just have to keep moving on. And can't we all just get along? And those things, even when we stop speaking them, they get suppressed within the genome, the DNA sequence. So now you have a generation that's feeling these unresolved emotional feelings and ready to snap off and don't know why. So I had to make a choice. Not only, and this is the mark of a true leader, not only do I have to reject the demons on the outside, but once I'm at a point where I can say no to the outside influences, then I have to shine the light on the inside of me. And if there's anything that has been passed on genetically, epigenetically, emotionally, mental, if there's any unresolved issues, I have to deal with those demons as well. Because if I don't deal with those demons as well, I'm only going to create what I was trying to escape from. That's why in the Bible, when they left Egypt, and I ain't trying to convert you or nothing like that. You ain't gotta fill out no envelope. Okay. Also, we right in the house. This is just for those that's interested. I always found it interesting that when God brought the children of Israel out of Egypt, and He had to have them to stay 40 years in the wilderness, and I used to wonder, like, God, can you take them someplace else? Why the wilderness? And why 40 years? And why everybody that originally came out of there, they never made it to the promised land. All of them passed away. Only their children went into the promised land. I said, what does that mean? That means that if once you get your freedom, Egypt just means like bondage, right? Once you get freedom from a situation, if you don't purge yourself, you're going to create another Egypt, even though you're physically not even there no more. That's why they say, hey, we not in slavery, but the shackles on our mind. That's the same analogy. So even though we're not on the plantation, I still have to find a way to get the shackles off my mind, or I'm still going to create another plantation. And that's what zone 1, zone 3, zone 4, the bluff. When you walking past all these things, this is just a recreation of a plantation. The only difference is instead of slave masters, we got dealers. But we have recreated the same thing we're supposed to be running from. And that's what I'm saying. I had to face Rio. Because if I don't face Rio, it don't matter if I'm part of SFC NEXT. It don't matter if I freestyle. Because then I would only just be giving y'all a projection of what I think y'all want to see. And then when I leave y'all, I'm a defeated person. When I leave y'all, my demons come back to put me in a headlock. I want to be present. I want to be there with you. So that's why I think it's been an effective partnership with SFC, because I'm present and I'm there 100%. I'm not faking. I'm not trying to fit in. Whether they like me, love me, they're going to have to accept me for who I am, everything that I am. I'm 100% transparent. And instead of experiencing rejection, I experience love. And that's very rare amongst Black people these days, to experience real love without feeling like you have to bend to fit a program. It was now like who you are. We love you for who you are. Oh, that's how you rap? Oh, we love you for how you rap. And I told Alex, and shout out to Cost, because without him, none of this would be possible. Even Panther, the sacrifice that they made, we took headshots, and we got an opportunity to look at the pictures. And I said something to Cost. I was like, man, that's how you see us? Because, you know, a picture worth 1,000 words. And not saying, I'm pretty sure everybody done took a selfie before. Everybody got pictures, but it's something about the craftsmanship, the camera, the lens, the effort, the expertise. I don't know how much the camera costs, but it's better than anything we probably have. And to see the detail, the close-up, where you can see the contours of the skin. You can see the eye as if it's right in front of you. And I saw myself. My chest poked out. This for the accident. I ain't been in the gym, but I'm going to get back right. Look. On the picture, I had that white on, and I had my head turned, and with the yellow background, And it's like I saw myself for the first time, but I was seeing myself through the eyes of somebody that believed in me. I'm looking at the picture, but I'm in third person looking at myself through the eyes of how Soul Food Cypher see me. That they believe in me so much and what we're doing as a collective that they're willing to take time out their day to line up a photography shoot. Not no rinky-dink photographer, but some real people with real lighting, with the real situation, with a real understanding of placement and how to get the best out of the individual to capture the essence in the lens and not just a picture on a frame. And when I looked at it on the computer, it's like something clicked in my head. Oh, that's how you see me. Give me something to live up to. And really that's encapsulate everything I've been saying during this interview. I want the world, my brothers and sisters, people that's interested in what we're doing, I want them to know that I see them. This is how I see you. My freestyle is just like that high quality camera lens. My words are snapshots. My sentences are the micro snapshots of the camera from different angles just to show my people, this is how I see you. And if you've never seen yourself in such a prestigious light, let me show you how I see you. Because if I could show you how I see you, then maybe you'll choose that image over the image of the drug dealer, the thug, the gangster, the killer, the robber, the thief. All we got to do is swap out the images, the patterns. And that's all I want to do. I'm going to do it too. I'm already doing it. And you know, yeah. Especially now, you know, having a near-death experience like that, where it can all be gone, it created an even deeper sense of urgency. Like, yeah, if you was good, now be great. If you was better, be even better. If you was being intentional, be even more intentional. Find somebody to bless. Find somebody to do something good for. Find, let somebody use your studio. See if somebody, like, how can I make myself available more because time is so short? I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
I think that, well, not that I think. I want to ask you about, like, how you have been able to start to put things in motion in terms of, like, doing the outreach that you want to do, and, like, how has freestyling and rap pushed you to going out there and interacting with your community?
Yes. So, like, prior to me being a part of the organization, I've always been like an activist. Like, I was down in Gina, Louisiana back in 2007 for the Gina 6 when they hung the noose outside the high school for the kids. I went down there and protest. Ahmaud Arbery down in Brunswick, Georgia, who got shot for jogging in the wrong neighborhood or whatever. I was there. I was down at the city hall. Like, I took off work. I made myself available to protest, to be visible. Like, I've always been an activist, always been willing to get on the front lines. Right, even here, like in Conyers, Madison, 20 East, they got something called the Morris Ford Bridge. I don't know if you heard of it, but it's where, Ku Klux Klan members killed a man and his wife. She was pregnant. And, like, it was just horrific on the bridge called Morris Ford Bridge. I went there to commemorate it. I think they was filming the Vampire Diaries. I don't know if y'all ever watched that show.
Yeah.
It's actually Covington, Georgia. I was right. It's amazing where this horrific event happened. At the red light is where the diner they was shooting Vampire Diaries. Isn't it amazing how you can take one geographical location and make one turn, you have productivity, you make another turn, and you have decadence? Isn't that amazing how, like, life can juxtapose those two things? What I'm saying is, I've always implanted myself or felt the call or the urge to show up in places where devastation has taken place. And I've always looked for opportunities to incorporate my freestyle ability or my music, my artistry. And, you know, it took a long time. Like I said, a lot of times, like especially earlier in my career, I showed up, but I didn't say nothing. I just blended in because my message didn't match my intentions. My intentions was to be like, that's wrong. We got to do something about that. But I knew if I press play, what I'm saying does not line up with what we're actually fighting for. We talking about justice and peace, and we need to put an end to the killing. But if I would have said, hey, I got something to say, press play, they would have heard something that's actually advocating killing. Even though it ain't coming from a different race, it still would have been advocating the same message. And that's why we got to change the rap on rap. So a lot of times I would show up in these places and I would just blend in because I knew I wasn't ready yet. My messaging wasn't right. So in the last couple of years when I show up, I've been on their head. I've been I've been really going crazy in a good way because now I'm able to articulate it. And now when I articulate it, and if somebody go research me, they say, well, who is this guy? Then they'll find a trail, the right path. I don't mind people knowing I have a past. We all have a past. But I do mind if somebody find out like my past, or they try to see where you're from or what you've done, and I'm still living like that, but I'm preaching something else. I don't want to be a hypocritical type person. So I went through my Buddhist monk phase to where I would show up, but I would be just blending in incognito because I needed my mind to be reformed. I needed my messaging to be reformed. So now with Soul Food Cypher, it's a perfect marriage in a sense because the opportunities that's been afforded me as an artist, as a person, as a man, as a creator, the opportunities would not have benefited me if I wasn't already on a path to become the best version of myself. I wouldn't have been able to do nothing with it. I wouldn't have been able to sit here and talk to you. I wouldn't have been able to do none of the events that I've already been a part of. Well, I would not have been able to do it and be effective. A lot of people can do it, but they're doing it for like superficial see what I'm saying? They only doing it because they just want some clout, or they want to be on camera, or they want to be on the gram. I'm doing it because I really want somebody to see me or hear something I say and be inspired. And Soul Food Cypher has created those opportunities, and they're going to create more opportunities. Like, we all have personal projects. My personal project, I was speaking with Cause One, I shared similar things to what we were talking about how I feel about, the civil rights in Atlanta. So he hooked me up with the Atlanta Citizen Review Board for the city of Atlanta. They got a contest that they were doing, which became my personal project. And the theme was my dream for a just world, one city, one team, the citizens and the police working together. And this was built off of the background of a couple of years ago, an elderly Black woman got shot multiple times by police for mistaking her house for a drug dealer. And like, she suffered a horrific demise, and nothing really ever came out about that. No protesting, nothing really, came out about that. So the Citizens Review Board is where the city try to work together with the police to come up with creative ways to reduce the potential occurrence of something like that happening in our community. So I was able to get some of my SFC members to submit. You could submit like an essay, a poem, some artwork. I went through the community, got some people in the community, kids, anybody that was interested that I knew could be effective. I did a podcast with somebody that I met at the park jam. We did like a park jam, an annual park jam at Adair's Park. I met a guy there named Fleetwood JR from Tampa Bay. I put him onto it, just maximizing the opportunity given to me and to push it out. And once everybody, got the information on how to submit, then, I had already been brainstorming of what I was gonna say. I wish I could play it for you. Like, after all this over, probably I send it to you, a Panther, then he could share it with you. And like I really went in, like, speaking to the situation, and it's perfect for me because what I didn't tell you, one of my gifts is I have a gift of, I'm like an empath. I can feel the energy. I can feel the energy to such a degree. If I close my eyes, it's like I can transport myself there. So I actually put myself in the house with the lady from a artistic point of view. When I put myself there to feel what she felt when the bullets hit the doors, and the panic she must have felt, and the shock on the police faces. I transported myself there mentally because I needed to see it from their perspective, from an energy level, and then I just cut the mic on and I just let it happen. See, I don't have to write no more. I don't write in a conventional way. I just cut the mic on. I write directly into the program. And I know you're like, wow, that's what Jay-Z do. This something different. This something totally different. I write directly into the machine. I freestyle it right into the machine, but I do it at such a high level, you would never know the difference unless I told you. So I'm just sharing that with you, and I can't wait for the world to hear it. If I win the contest, it'll be another commemoration for Soul Food Cypher, all the other great work that they have done. That'll be something that I contributed to the history of Soul Food Cypher. We get invited down to City Hall. They're gonna get like a big plaque. They actually gonna transcribe the words and like a big plaque in City Hall, get to invite my family and just be recognized. And I might get an opportunity to speak. But if they let me speak, I'm telling you, y'all thought Dr. King came in there. Boy, this be my coming out. I'm just saying, this would be my coming out party, to be able to be in that situation and speak to the people that really need to hear what we're saying. It's cool for us to do podcasts, but it's some officials that need to hear what we doing. It's some people in power that need to know that the youth ain't gave up on the youth. They need to know it's some people still out here working for a cause that maybe could use some resources that they have, but don't know how to connect it with the people on the grassroots level. So I'm praying on it, let God will be done. But I definitely put the work in, and I'm excited about what I did.
Yeah, that's amazing. I feel like you do have so many ways of like connecting with the community and trying to make that difference, and so this is just like another great example.
Yeah. So I hope I answered all your questions to the best of my ability. All things considered, it's definitely like been an amazing experience, and it's something I'll be doing for the rest of my life. And I enjoy working with the Next Men and our ciphers, and I've refined my role just as a facilitator. I want to help bring out the best in the people that's closest to me. Since I've been able to achieve a certain specialty in freestyling, now it's my role to reverse that. And I'm a student and a teacher, learning how to lean into both aspects of being a creator. I want to help everybody that come into my area of influence. If they want to get better, I'm gonna help them get better. If they want to learn how to do something, and if it's within my realm, I'm gonna help them do it. I'm looking forward to this journey together and bringing out the best in them, because bringing out the best in them is actually bringing out the best in me.
Yeah.
And I just want to keep building bridges instead of burning them. We got enough smoke in the city. We need to start building some bridges. We didn't burn too many. So there you have it, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, definitely. You can find me on Instagram, Rio Nicosi. Definitely would love for you to follow me, send me a DM message, anything you want to talk about, chop it up. If it's with music, freestyling, anything, even to just say a hello. Definitely. Now that I know you exist and I exist, let's connect. Make sure you follow Soul Food Cypher too. On the fourth Sunday every month, we have a cipher. Creative ATL 900 Murphy Ave. Make sure y'all come out and see if what I'm saying is true. Because anybody can talk, but I guarantee you, if you set some time on your schedule to come out and be a part of it and witness the magic in real time, it'll change your life. It definitely changed mine. Rio.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.